Malaysia has one of the highest rates of people with Down syndrome in Southeast Asia. It is estimated that it occurs in 1 of 600 births. A baby with Down syndrome can be born to any family, to parents of any age, race, religion, or social background. It is a chromosomal anomaly caused by an error in cell division, and there is no definitive answer to why it occurs. Each and every person with Down syndrome has their own unique personality, strength, and weaknesses like everyone else. This is the story of two people with Down syndrome as they overcome hurdles, strive for greater independence, and take part in the many experiences in life.
In Down syndrome, they have two factors, social and genetic factors. Fatah has social factors, but for Ain, she had genetic factors. Fatah's family, both of his parents are educators. One of them is a lecturer, the other one is an esteemed teacher. So his family mostly plays a big role in his life. They help him in talking and learning. So Fatah's pronunciation, although he has faulty pronunciation, he still can speak and everyone still can understand him. But for Ain, because she had genetic factors, she had difficulties in speaking. She's in 2-word stage, so where she can only speak like in 2 words. For example, she can only speak, "You're beautiful." So she is limited in speaking. Both of them love learning.
As the guardian, we should encourage them to speak, because when we encourage them, they can actually talk better in the future, and when they're facing the reality of life, they can actually like speak and talk and also communicate with other people, not just among them. They can actually mingle around and communicate, and maybe can speak to a mass audience if they as the guardian, we should also teach them on general knowledges, because with these general knowledges they can actually broaden their mind, and perhaps in the future, if they face the things that they have learned in general knowledges, with that experience they can actually create a long-term memory, because as we all know, children with Down syndrome or people with Down syndrome actually had a short-term memory. So with general knowledges and experience, it can create long-term memory. And also, one thing that I realized about children with or people with Down syndrome, they actually are very friendly, especially when they are opposite gender with them, someone that is opposite gender with them. For example, I've met a boy with Down syndrome. He is very friendly, like generally very friendly, and extra friendly when they're actually with someone that is opposite gender. So yeah, they're generally friendly, but when it comes to other gender, they become even more friendly.
Down syndrome is a genetic disorder. So it occurs because there is a slight impairment occurs in chromosomes number 21. The chromosomes number 21 itself does not divide properly during the cell divisions. So based on the articles written by Jackie G, he said that Down syndrome patients have an impairment in their auditory tonal processing, which makes them to experience difficulties with the processing of language. There's also a language differences upon the positions of oral structures of Down syndrome patients with the normal persons like us. Down syndrome could not be cured. Instead, it could be treated. So there are many techniques that could be used for them to undergo treatments. One of it is the speech language pathologies that should play a main role, in which a parent should ask a speech language pathologist to evaluate their child so that the speech language pathologist could help their child to develop a treatment plan for the child's communications in the future.
Down syndrome students are actually are capable learners, and they are excited and eager to learn. So they just need some encouragement and also opportunity to be given to them to help them excel in their class. And having a great support in school, especially from the teachers, will help them to learn more in school, especially in their learning and teaching process. So the first method that can be used by teachers is using a visual and also music or audio support. Down syndrome students, they learn better when they can see illustrated things or a solid object, because this student can learn effectively when information is presented to them with the support of visual and also object which they can see with their own eyes. And second is using music or audio. Music is one of the best way to attract the student attention. Every student love when it comes to singing and listening to music. So it is also happens to these Down syndrome students where they really love music and singing. So the best way as attention getter when these students became bored in class is using music. As for reward, for this Down syndrome student, giving a public praise like clapping hands together with their peers if they do something good, and if they answer a correct question, it will boost more their confidence, and this way is good for their development, as it will also help their communication skills. This kind of reward will also spread a positive vibe in their learning surrounding, because they will be more confident and eager to learn on that day or in their learning process.
The notion of Down syndrome is the idea that it can't be treated, and there are multiple improvisations that is created to alleviate the Down syndrome. The main problem for Down syndrome patients is that their physical and mental developments are disturbed, and this may lower their self-esteem, their ego completely. A bad mental state will not lead towards any sort of recovery, so it's advised to give early attention towards children with Down syndrome. The first approach is to encourage the patients to perform basic routines in life. Actions such as feeding, dressing, walking, interacting themselves help improve their sensory motor operations, which in turn give them movement in their articulatory and bodily functions, ultimately making them confident in normal circumstances. One of the third ways to alleviate this Down syndrome is using the sensory method. The sensory method involves communications to an extent. The first method is through models and repetitions. Patients need to be reinforced through multiple experiences to be able to learn something new, and using real life objects helps them to visualize and use tangible things to learn using experiences. Lastly, reading should help these students, these patients, to learn concepts through knowledge, through the surroundings, and by reading should be incorporated with field studies, field trips, so that the neighborhood and daily experiences will help them to visualize and understand the knowledge of their surrounding. This will help them too much in developing. Although it doesn't treat them, it does help them a long way.
Okay, so there are several prominent aspects of the conditions of a Down syndrome patient. In their physical aspect, or their physical conditions, there are usually have small head with a flat back of the head, a short neck, and small eyes that are slanted outward and upward, a small nose and a flat nasal bridge, a small mouth that is usually tongue stuck out, and also loose joints, which means that they are flexible. And as for their health conditions, these Down syndrome patients may also suffer from other illnesses such as hearing loss, heart problems, eyesight problems, and obstructive sleeping apnea, which is a state where while they are sleeping, their breathing stops and restarts again many times. They also tend to get overweight and have thyroid issues, and also have blockages in their intestines, and also skin problems.
Implications of Down syndrome in language. Firstly, speaking. Down syndrome patients, due to their physical features such as their tongue, have difficulties in producing speech properly. It's not like they are not capable of speaking. Down syndrome patients are capable of speaking, but the listeners have to listen carefully in order to understand what they are saying. This because speech of Down syndrome patients are restricted to short telegraphic utterances. For example, went swimming with dad instead of I went swimming with my dad last night. They also tend to have difficulty in pronouncing words clearly. And due to this combined effect of short telegraphic utterances and poor pronunciation, the speech of people with Down syndrome are hard to understand. Down syndrome patients are capable of reading. They can read like normal people do, but it takes time in order for them to be able to read competently. This is due to various reasons such as hearing impairment and short-term memory problem. Children with Down syndrome are strong visual learners and poor auditory ones. This means that they have difficulty in learning just by using phonics alone. But despite being a poor auditory learners, they have strong visual memories, which means that they are strong visual learners. Learning visually, the written word makes language visual and helps to overcome the difficulties that Down syndrome patients have with learning through listening. Reading is an area where many Down syndrome patients can experience success and thus develop their reading skills to a more useful and practical level.